Now, an interesting poll has found that the majority of young Britons would like to live under a socialist economic system.
Poll of young people aged between 16 and 34, carried out by the Institute of Economic Affairs, found that 67% would like to live in a socialist economic system.
Well, joining us now is Dr. K Niemietz, author at the Institute of Economic Affairs and creator of the poll in question. Hi, Dr. Niemietz. Did this poll surprise you? I thought the UK was generally a kind of free market, capitalist economy. There's a state, there's a welfare state, but really, kids want socialism?
It did not surprise me at all, to be honest, because I've been looking at polls on this issue for 5 years or so, and our poll is actually in line with the evidence that we already have. It's not an outlier at all. It fits in very nicely. Well, nicely is maybe the wrong word, but it certainly dovetails with what we already know, and this is a continuation of that. There were polls in 2016, 17, showing that about 40% have a positive view of socialism, about 40% say communism could have worked if it had been better implemented, all that sort of stuff. In our case, the numbers are slightly higher. That's because we didn't offer a don't know option. That's always the problem. If you offer that option, a lot of people just say don't know. We wanted to test, well, okay, if you had to make a choice, what would it be?
Sure.
Interesting, really interesting. Very interesting because they're 16 to 34. So what I want to know is what happens when they're 35 to 50 or 50 to 70. Will they retain those views, or do we get more conservative with a small c the older we get?
Well, unfortunately not. That link has broken down. That was true of some previous generations. Certainly the baby boomers. You had, of course, the student radicalism of the 1960s. But those people then later grew out of their flirtations with Marxism. The millennial generation doesn't do that anymore. We've got, in our case, it ends in the mid-30s, but there are previous surveys on similar issues which go up to the mid-40s or so, and you still don't see a change there. You have to go much further up the age scale before you see a change there, and that to me suggests that this is a permanent effect. This isn't something fleeting that people will eventually grow out of. This is a permanent, a cohort effect, and if somebody hasn't grown out of that by the age of 40, when will they?
I think this has been a pattern for years. Orwell wrote about if you're not a socialist when you're young, you're inhumane, and if you're not a conservative when you're older, you're...
No, but that was 18 to 30. So he was already... So if you're not a socialist when you're 18, you've got no heart. If you're still a socialist when you're 30, you've got no brain. These are... Christian's telling us it goes on beyond then.
Well, that's the problem.
I think this has been a trend.
The new 20.
This has been a trend for a long time. I think the trend is breaking down. That's what research I've done shows too. I would put it largely down to the fact that people in their 30s and 40s now are a lot less likely to own homes. How can you support capitalism if you've got no capital? Is that your view from your research too, Christian, that it's because the age at which people buy a home, if indeed they're ever able to buy a home, is getting older and older and older, so people are less likely to want to be part of a more capitalist society, which in the long term is a problem for the Tories, right?
Absolutely. I would definitely say that the housing crisis is a major driver of this. I don't think you need to literally own capital to be a capitalist. You can be a renter and still appreciate that the market economy delivers.
If you get a decent deal.
Yeah, exactly. That is the point. That's exactly the problem. That rents are also sky high, and for a lot of people, that is their main interaction with the market economy. Most people don't learn about the economy by reading the Econ 101 textbook, but through their personal interactions with it. And if they feel ripped off by their main interaction with the market, meaning being a tenant and being a private sector renter, if you feel ripped off and then you generalize that and think, oh, that's what capitalism is. In that case, I don't like it.
So interesting. And I suppose people will have different definitions of what socialism means. To me, it's very simple. It means that the rewards in society are distributed more evenly. I mean, it's great that more people want to see that.
I believe in that.
No, that's you're a socialist, Liam.
I'm not.
Well, we provide a definition early on.
But you know that the distribution of wealth and power is completely out of kilter.
Well, it depends how big you want the state to be. The state's like half the economy at the moment.
Well, okay, I mean, here we're still talking about conventional social democracy. That is not the issue of this poll. We do provide a definition early on where we do say it does mean a state-run economy where the state owns most companies and prices and so forth are set by the state. So the conventional dictionary definition, I think we're pretty clear about what socialism means in this context. And that's not the first survey that does that. The previous ones also plot socialism directly against capitalism. If you do it like that, even if you don't offer a definition, you are showing that in this case socialism is a distinct economic system.
Dr. K Niemietz, thanks a lot for coming in. I guess people can look at your research online, right, at
Absolutely.
the Institute of Economic Affairs website. Thanks a lot for coming in.